What do you do when the world around you feels louder than your own convictions? When injustice becomes normal and speaking truth feels like shouting into the wind? Sometimes it feels safer to stay silent, to blend in with whatever everyone else accepts. But every so often, God raises someone who refuses to let corruption drown out truth. Someone who stands steady even when the crowd chooses comfort over conviction. And that's where the story of Micah reaches into our lives, not as a relic of the past, but as a mirror for the present. Micah lived during a time of national prosperity, but beneath the wealth and confidence was moral decay. Leaders exploited the poor, judges accepted bribes, and prophets only spoke what people wanted to hear. The land looked religious on the outside, but the heart of the nation was drifting further from God. In the middle of the spiritual erosion, God chose Micah, a small-town prophet without status or political power, to speak warnings that no one wanted to hear. His message cut through the noise. Judgment was coming, but mercy was ready for anyone willing to turn back to God. Despite the darkness surrounding him, Micah's voice carried both fire and tenderness. He exposed the corruption of the elite, confronted fake spirituality, and declared that God desired more than rituals. He desired justice, compassion, and humility. Yet woven through the warnings was a thread of hope. God promised restoration, a shepherd king from Bethlehem who would bring peace and gather his people again. Micah held judgment in one hand and hope in the other, revealing both the seriousness of sin and the unfailing compassion of God. Micah wasn't just speaking to ancient Israel, his words reached straight into the patterns of our own world. His call to act justly invites us to examine the way we treat people when no one is watching, especially the ones who cannot repay us. His call to love mercy challenges us to extend compassion even when the world teaches revenge, suspicion, or self-preservation. His call to walk humbly with God reminds us that true spirituality is not performance but presence, the quiet grounding of knowing who God is and who we are before Him. Another lesson from Micah is the courage to be a lone voice. Micah wasn't surrounded by applause. He was surrounded by opposition, denial, and leaders who preferred flattering lies over uncomfortable truth. Yet he remained faithful, proving that obedience to God matters more than popularity with people. His life shows that even one person rooted in conviction can shift the atmosphere around them, because God amplifies the voice of those who stand for what is right. Finally, Micah teaches us that God's justice and mercy are never in tension. They flow together through His character. God confronts sin not to shame us but to free us. He warns us not to destroy us but to call us home. The same God who declared judgment also promised a shepherd who would lead His people in strength and surround them with peace. This is the balance of Micah's message. God takes righteousness seriously, but He also delights in compassion. His presence exposes what is broken, but His love restores what is lost. As we step back and look at Micah's story, we're reminded that God is never silent in seasons of corruption or confusion. He raises voices, He calls His people back, and He offers mercy even when judgment is deserved. Micah shows that God sees every injustice, hears every cry for help, and longs to shape our hearts into instruments of His goodness. His message is both a warning and an invitation. Return to God, walk in His ways, and trust the shepherd who leads with both strength and tenderness. In a world filled with noise, may we become people who hear His voice and dare to echo it with courage, compassion, and humility.